Greetings, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Coming at you again today with the postal terms that I told you I would go over tonight. And we're not going to go over the whole thing, but there are some that I want to point out to kind of help, hopefully, show you some connection of dots. And want to remind everybody, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. There's a PayPal link down below for anybody that wants to share some love. And the link to the postal terms that we're going over is also down in the details section for anybody who wants to pull that up and follow along. I am going to be screen sharing again, of course. And so with that, we're going to get into it. StreamYard links down there for anybody who wants to join the panel. Feel free to do so. And we're going to go over postal terms directly from the United States Postal Service, the registered agent, right from the horse's mouth. Under abandoned mail, a popular term, abandoned mail says unclaimed mail. So any unclaimed commercial transaction is something that's entered into the mail through administrative services. Let's see here. We've got acceptance. And instead of having regular acceptance definition there, it says business mail acceptance. So every time we're talking about acceptance, we're talking about business, and it is a mail service for all postings of the accounting of the events in person. Accepts. Accountable mail. Mail that requires the signature of the addressee or addressee's agent upon receipt to provide evidence of delivery or indemnification for loss or damage. Now, if you remember our last video just a little bit ago, going over the Postal Union, we talked about confidence with fidelity. With fidelity means an agreement to indemnify each other. Equal consideration, equal benefit. And if there's any detriment, it's to be shared equally between contracting officers. Accountable mail includes priority mail express service and special service mail, such as certified mail. Notice it says special service mail. Remember what special really means. It means specific species, as in private, specifically one individual. As certified mail, collect on delivery, insured mail for more than $200, registered mail, return receipt, and signature confirmation. Accountable materials, certain items of inherent monetary value. See also stamp credit. You guys see that? Stamp credit. Stamp credit. It's blue line highlighted, underlined. So let's click on it, see what happens. Stamp credit. Remember we talked about philatelic duties or philatelic programs, which is stamp collecting. Stamp credit is the monetary value of the postage stamp stock and cash that is consigned to an employee or a contractor out of the stamp accountability of the postmaster. At post office stations and branches, this value is consigned out of the general station or branch stamp credit. And it is also says see accountable paper. Postage stamp stock and cash that is consigned to an employee or a contractor out of the stamp accountability of the postmaster, accountable paper. Accountable paper. Paper in a postal facility that holds monetary value and must be accounted for, including postage stock, international reply coupons, migratory bird hunting and conservation stamps, philatelic products, blank postal money order forms, and items awaiting destruction. You guys keeping up here? So accountable materials, stamp credits, and accountable paper are all within the same definition. And what was that? Branch stamp credit. So instead of dollar for dollar, don't you think it would be reasonable and logic to use credit for credit? Since it's the universal, or yes, the Universal Postal Realty Trust, Inc., that has the real estate investment trust that gives credit through branch stamp credits for all accountable materials and accountable paper, that you should be able to use a credit system yourself instead of their monetary system of commercial paper. Wouldn't that be in alignment with the Conservation and Environmental Protection Act, as well as the Paperwork Reduction Act? Not accountable material. Accounting Data Mart, a section of the Enterprise Data Warehouse that contains accounting and financial information. I'm sure that would be connected to the enterprise payment system as well. We'll find out at a later time. Let's see here. Address block, the area on a mail piece containing the address to which USPS is to deliver a mail piece. So if it's not a mail piece and it's a private parcel, you don't use the address block as the national address format as an address block. You use a foreign address, and just that alone expresses something outside of their national format. Assist and address correction service, a system of ancillary service. And what is ancillary? Anybody know what ancillary is? That's like extra or outside of, like I just mentioned. Endorsements and endorsements that enables a mailer to obtain an addressee's new forwarding address for the ward in person if it is actively on file with USPS, or the reason for non-delivery for an undeliverable as addressed mail piece. This service is available alone using the change of service requested, endorsement, or as part of other ancillary service endorsements, such as address service requested, in which the mail is forwarded and a separate notice of a new address is provided to the sender. Addressee, the person or organization to which a mail piece is addressed as shown on the delivery address. It is normally the intended recipient of the mail piece in receivership as a recipient, or by getting a receipt, which the commanding officer shall cause receipts to be issued, which may serve the spoliated owner indemnity. That's what we're talking about again, a fidelity agreement, a pledge of fealty for indemnification purposes. Let's see here. We saw this one here, A to covert in the protocols there, and it's French, like I said before, Universal Postal Union term, an item with no envelope or packing found in the mail, an item for a particular country of destination inserted in a dispatch for an intermediate country. Now, what that second one is talking about, let's go over the first one first. The first one is talking about what I describe as a dispatch, a manifold dispatch article or manifold dispatch parcel. That's that trifold, where it's a cardboard postcard stock. It's thick, and you don't use an envelope, but rather fold it in on itself, so the private part remains sealed inside with one seal, and then another seal, but it's used as a stamp on the front top right corner, and a seal on the back where it's trifolded. Now you've got your stamp and your seal. On the inside, the private part, if it happens to be a contract, you have your third stamp where you cross-sign it, canceling that part, which is the contract on the inside. See, the way it's done is when they cancel that stamp, that's a validation of a contract. So let's go back and look at it. The second part is an item for a particular country of destination inserted in a dispatch for an immediate country. So what you would do is, in my case like that, I could put that trifold and seal it and everything, and then put it inside of another envelope, and that would be this part here, an item for a particular country of destination inserted in a dispatch for an intermediate country. Adhesive. The gum or glue on the back of a postage stamp. Stamp adhesive may be either water activated or pressure sensitive. An adhesive stamp or label affixed to a mail piece cover. Adhesive stamp, a gum stamp, either self-adhesive or with mucilage requiring moistening. That is designed to be affixed to mail. Advanced dispatch, a dispatch of mail made early enough to arrive at the destination facility before the critical entry time for that facility. See, everything's a contract with time. Con with tract is a span of time. That's literally what contract means. So they have a critical entry time. Advance deposit account. Advance deposit account. A liability account into which a mailer deposits funds that are maintained by U.S. Postal Service to pay for future services used by the mailer, such as permit imprint mailings, business reply mail pieces, postage due mail, or periodicals, also called trust fund account. What are the funds? What funds that account? Is it fiat currency of the United States? Is it documentation with certain declarations proving that you have credence? That you are the one extending credit in a credit system? Advertising mail. See direct mail. Direct mail, another name for advertising mail sent to targeted markets. Direct mail can be any mail class or product, but it is usually prepared as standard mail pieces. It's your regular envelope with a name and address on it. Put a stamp on it, send it. Return to sender. Yeah. Direct mail can be the primary advertising and sales vehicles for a business. Notice that's vehicle is vehicular language. They taught you how to put a name and address on a goddamn envelope in a national format, a national address format, as a vehicle for their business. You got duped. Or it can supplement and enhance other forms of advertising and sales activities. Excuse me. Dispatch. Mail readied and loaded for transportation. Or mail to ready the mail for loading. Or 3, the act of labeling. The act of labeling. Did you put that address on there? Or did they? Is that an act of labeling? Did you put another label on there, one of their labels, like a postage stamp? Or did you continue to express it in your own private labeling? Did you commingle funds? Is it evident on the face of the vessel that you commingled funds? Containerizing and moving mail between operations within a facility or from an operation to the platform area for eventual transport on designated routings to other facilities. Dispatch of value. The last day dispatch of the day that is loaded on transportation in time to meet the service standard for the mail class or destination. So it has to be deliverable, and it has to be deliverable on time, not on credit, and not with money. District. An administrative field unit that oversees most operational and support functions for post offices in a defined geographic area. Districts report to an area office. Districts, even district courts, that's a defined area within a defined geographic area. Yeah, the district courts of Blackhawk County, that's one court at the county seat, and it covers the entire district. And districts report to an area office. What is that one, folks? Does anybody remember that one? That's 32 U.S.C. 1602.4. And it succinctly says in the U.S. Code, concurring and correlating with that same obligation and other security of the United States that we were talking about earlier video under 18 U.S.C. 8 and the obligations of the Postal Service, we now have 32 CFR 1602.4, which is national defense. That's a military operation, folks. And under national defense, military operations, the area office is the Selective Service Office, which is responsible for all administrative and administrative and operational support for the one or more local boards within its jurisdiction. So is the Postal Service the Selective Service? I mean, don't they give you all kinds of selections of what service you want? Don't you suppose you should be selecting the proper service, the proper service, according to somebody that can't fight in a war and therefore can't take upon any military office of any of the military jurisdictions and must remain standing steadfast. He commanded, and it was done. He spake, and it stood fast, as one of the children of our Father which art in heaven, as one of his armies. Isn't that your true post in life? One post shall run to meet another post, messenger to messenger, shewing unto the king of Babylon that the city has fallen at the other end. Learn the words that they're using against you and learn how to use them appropriately. So let's go back to our terms. Let's see. Aerophilately, philatelic stamp collecting that focuses on stamps, postage, covers, and other philatelic materials that relate to airmail. Interesting. I've not read all of these, but there are, like I said, some that I want to read over here, and I want to get down to some here real quick here. Alternative retail services. See, alternate access channels. Now remember our discussion in 7 U.S.C. the other night as it relates to credit and all of that, an access device as it relates to credit cards. Cards, plates, coupon books, or any device used to obtain money, property, labor, or services on credit. Ancillary service, formerly an optional special service, one that you could select, purchased for a fee in addition to the postage applicable to the mail class or product. These optional services vary in nature, and most may be purchased only for specific mail products or mail piece shapes. Ancillary service includes address correction service, applications and mailing permits, business reply mail service, merchandise return service, bulk parcel return service, certified mail, certificate of mailing, collect on delivery, USPS tracking, insurance. You guys catch that? That's an ancillary service. And if you're a beneficiary, you still have benefit of ancillary services just as much as you would have the internal services. Parcel airlift service, registered mail, return receipt, restricted delivery, shipper paid forwarding, signature confirmation, special handling, and stamped envelopes, stamped stationery, and stamped cards. At a reasonable expense or a reasonable or acceptable cost. Again, if it's freedom of transit, then what is the acceptable cost? Well, I accept your original offer that I see in the public forum as freedom of transit. Informally forwarding, return, disposal, which is a disposition, or address correction service provided by the U.S. Postal Service for undeliverable as addressed. Please readdress it according to the national address format that I gave you. The mail class or product determines the availability of service and any charge if and when the service is rendered. By putting it in that national address format, you're saying I have a postal obligation. It is implying that I have a postal obligation. And by me using it, I am making that implication, assumption, presumption, definite material fact evidence. Ancillary service endorsement, a specified marking, wording on the address side of a mail piece added by a mailer to request an ancillary service that directs UPS or USPS how to handle undeliverable as addressed and provide any corresponding address correction service. You have to give them the information and the knowledge of a foreign address by expressing it outside of their national address formats. Appropriation. Public funds set aside by Congress as reimbursement for USPS costs for performing certain purposes. USPS is authorized to receive appropriations for a public service costs incurred by providing a maximum effective degree of universal mail service. Again, as we saw in the final protocols, it's a universal postal service. And they, as the United States Postal Service, have to follow the universal regulations under the underwriting that they took upon of those very protocols. And revenue foregone for providing free mailings to the blind and to overseas voters. Area. An administrative field unit headed by an area vice president and divided into customer service support, operations support, finance, human resources, and sales. Each area is further divided into districts. An area is responsible for airport mail centers, facilities, network distribution centers, customer service districts. The districts serve customers, the ones that customize their drafted documents by filling them in with their data elements. I hope you learn how to do a much better job, people. Mail, transportation equipment centers, post offices, processing and distribution centers facilities, remote encoding centers, and vehicle maintenance facilities. Let's see here. I don't think there was much more here. Oh, Associate Post Office. Notice it's got a trademark. Okay, so there's a trademark holder and a registered agent that provides the services of the trademark holder for all the products and services created by that trademark holder. So the Universal Postal Union is the post office. And I've done a video on this. The post office, where we discuss the Global Postal Trust Services. That is the post office. The United States Postal Service has its own associate post office, and it is employing registered agents as the registered agent United States Postal Service. A post office that reports to a larger post office or that is within the service area of a sectional center facility. It usually receives and dispatches all mail classes and products from and to the SCF, or a processing and distribution center, also called associate office. A post office that reports to a larger post office, the one postal territory. Let's see here. At tributable costs. Again, fealty is paying a pledge. So if you have a fealty with the Postal Service where you've pledged, and remember, folks, a man is bound by his words. So that's what funds it, is that his word is he's bound in good faith to do according to the law. And if that law says it's freedom of transit guaranteed throughout the entire territory of the postal of the union, then all you got to do is agree that you're not going to charge anybody else for post. Seems pretty simple to me. Equal consideration, equal benefit. Authorized pouch. Coin your words or purse your lips. A mail bag scheduled to be prepared for dispatch regularly. Auto. A price-specific marking that is combined with the required basic class or product marking, as in earmarking the funds to a specific or particular purpose to indicate eligibility for an automation price category and processing on automation equipment. Let's see here. Well, maybe it'll bring us back up here, but here's the first one I want to get into is Board of Governors, BOG, the group that directs the exercise of the powers of the USPS. 9 governors are appointed by the President of the United States with the advice and consent of the Senate. The remaining members are the Postmaster General, appointed by the governors, and the Deputy Postmaster General, appointed by the governors and the Postmaster General. The board directs and controls the expenditures and reviews the practices and policies of the USPS. Bogus. When it comes to counterfeit and fraud and forgery and stuff, bogus. A fictitious, worthless, stamp-like label created only for sale to collectors. Compare with counterfeit. Bogus stamps include non-existent values added to regularly issued sets and issues for nations without postal systems. So understanding the actual value as expressed and making sure that you let them know it's prepaid according to this account number. And here's my symbol, my logos, and here's my special notation or file number or record number so that it can match up in my records. Booklet stamp. A book of stamps that consists of at least one small pane between protective covers or configured by folding to form a small unit. Bound printed matter. The bound printed matter product marking that is used on the face of a mail piece to indicate to U.S. Postal Service the level to be provided, and when combined with other price-specific markings to show the product or price category claimed. Claimed. What was abandoned? Unclaimed. So now you're going to claim that which is abandoned, and that's your private rights of freedom of transit, which is guaranteed throughout the entire territory of the Union and correlates with Psalms 118, verse 20. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth, and even forevermore. Interesting one here, box holder firm. A customer who has an assigned box / caller or phantom box number or phantom box number. The customer's incoming mail must be regularly distributed by name on the primary or secondary distribution operations or on the box section primary. If the mail is distributed to a number series separation on the box primary case, it is not a direct box holder firm. So would that be a number on a house and not on a box at the post office? Would that be a secondary and not the box primary case? Suppose they're still considering you some kind of firm, making firm offers in office, principal place of business known as a residence. So let's go down to one I want to get into here is key. As you can see, this is a long set of definitions. That's why I left the link down in the details section for anybody that wants to pull it up and look through it themselves. Key. To press numbered keys or other identifiers on a device that represents sortation information, such as the first 3 digits of the zip code in the delivery address of the mail piece, so the information can be transmitted to mechanical equipment processing the piece. Under key line, we have optional mailer information printed in or above the address or in another location. Key line information identifies the mail piece and its pre-sort level. Again, where we just talked about that, indicating that it's private by using a foreign address format. So under some postage payment systems, the key line is a required line that contains specific information about the mail piece. So if you want to send something prepaid, in the postage payment systems of every nation, there is a prepaid qualifier that you can use. And that prepaid qualifier is known as franking. And all you have to do is be able to express it in or above the address or in another location. So on the bottom left-hand corner of your envelope, folks, you can literally put the term private. For the address, you can use 5 lines, which would include 1 more line than the last line known, or excuse me, 2 more lines, or 3 more lines by adding on to the national address format. We're going to look up last line here when we're done. Keys and identification devices, a separate price category for keys and identification cards or tags that bear or have attached instructions to return the pieces and a guarantee of postage payment on delivery. Last line. A separate address line that contains, from left to right, the city name and corresponding state abbreviation and zip code, or zip +4. It is the last line in a standardized complete address. So, if you put a key line on there, beyond the last line, which is the city, state, and zip, by giving a corresponding directive, United States of America, along with the term down in the left-hand corner, private, it would denote a private American citizen, and that private American citizen has the same franking rights and privileges as any member of Congress or any other Medicare qualified government employee that the law designates so. Are there any questions on that? Rodney says, bingo, that makes sense. So you guys have to understand, you're the credit to this system. And if you think a debtor can charge a creditor, that's not the way it works. It's the creditor that charges the debtor if they want to charge them. Otherwise, a true creditor just lets what's overflowing flow over, and he gives true credit where it actually came from because he didn't have that talent unless it was given to him by the providence of grace, the spiritual credence that inspires us to respire as we aspire to do the same thing as a valid creator. Um, let's see here. Letter post, a universal postal union classification of items according to one of two systems. One, a speed of handling, priority and non priority items, or B, content, letters, postcards, and lightweight packages. Let's see here. What else? What else? Live postage. Postage stamps on mail pieces that have not yet been canceled. You know those prepaid postage indicia? The same kind of things, labels, stamps, coupons. They're all adhesive some way or another. It's like an adhesion contract. And this is lives, informal. Live animals such as bees, day old chickens, and other cold blooded animals like crickets, worms, and lizards permitted under strict requirements in the mail. In the mail. Lockbox, now obsolete because now they call them post office box. That's literally where the term lockbox comes from. They were the original bank, folks. Machinable parcel goes to those manifold dispatch, the trifold manifold dispatch, a mail piece that is of correct size, shape, and weight to be safely sorted by mail processing machinery, such as a parcel short sorting machine. Machine readable, the capability of a delivery address being interpreted electronically by automated mail processing equipment. They've got machines that know how to read the handwriting of the addresses. What else? See if there's anything else. Mail fraud, like I tried to explain to both um, Flow State and Mitchell, a scheme to get money or other assets from a postal customer Do you understand that? If I'm the customer and I want to obtain a service by the postal intermediary, that is not fraud. By the very definition, a scheme to get money or other assets from a postal customer by offering a product, service, or investment opportunity that does not live up to its claims. Prosecutors must prove that the claims were intentionally misrepresented and that the mails were used to carry out the scheme. So by making a, quote, homemade postage stamp, a prepaid postage indicia, where I simply wanted him to send a parcel from point A to point B to another private person, a private being, without any cost or expense, wasn't to gain money or anything else of assets from another customer in order to do so. People need to learn how to start reading, or need to learn how to read, period. Excuse me. Mailing agent, a private third party that engages in a principal agent relationship to mail on behalf of the principal. Examples of mailing agents include pre-sort bureaus and parcel consolidators. But if you're a third party private to the entity and you're engaging in the principal agent relationship to mail on behalf of the principal by paying a charge, then you've been duped. You took on the expense. You took on incurring an expense as an operator in either the country of origin or destination. You've been duped. A resident, a mailing agent of a secondary postal box. Mailing statement, obsolete. See postage statement. Postage statement, documentation provided by a mailer to USPS that reports the type and volume of mail being presented. Type of postage method used, prepaid. Volume of mail being presented, one parcel, one private parcel. Processing category of the mail, priority, total weight of the mailing, and other required information that certifies that the mail meets the applicable eligibility standards for the prices and fees claimed. So if you're the one that's supposed to claim the prices and fees applicable, why is it the Postal Service keeps telling you what you must pay and they don't even know this? Anybody answer that for me? Let me read that again, folks. Documentation provided by a mailer, a dispatcher, the one sending it from point of origin to USPS that reports the type and volume of mail being presented. And you can do that on the envelope by giving key line information in or above the address or in other locations on that envelope. You can tell them the type of postage method, whether you use tax per queue, Her Majesty's Royal Mail, prepaid postage, whatever you're going to use as expressing your capacity and the processing category of the mail. Postage statement wizard. Isn't that convenient? Isn't that nice? Postal wizard. Postal wizard. A secure method for entering postage statements electronically in Postal One. Postal Wizard is typically used by mailers who mail fewer than 2,000 pieces per month. Postal One is the online account that I discussed in regards to reconciling the master trust accounts at Postal One's sites. I did a series of 43 videos on this, and it clearly says, effective immediately, Handbook F101, Field Accounting Procedures, is revised with a new procedure for reconciling master trust accounts for Postal One's sites. Postal retail units that are interfaced with Postal One, such as an enterprise payment system account as an international merchant with a MID and CRID identification for such needs of commercial merchant transactions, are no longer required to reconcile master trust accounts once a month. Instead, these sites will receive a narrowcast master trust exception report when there is an out of balance status for 3 consecutive days between Postal One and the general ledger. Not the Treasury, not the administration, not the Treasury direct account, but the general ledger itself. Not any other accounting. The general ledger itself. The postmaster, unit manager, or designated employee must research and resolve the out of balance master trust accounts upon receipt of the narrowcast master trust exception report. Additionally, a copy of the report with an annotation of the actions taken to resolve the difference must be retained with PS Form 1412, Daily Financial Report, as supporting documentation. And with that, we're going to close out our postmaster or postal terms. Again, the link is in the details section down below. I urge you guys to start looking through this stuff. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I can show you in many different sources what we're talking about. Like I said, you see in that postal thing, the postal terms there, a lot of the same things they were talking about in both the Constitution of the Universal Postal Union and the final protocols. And this is the foundation of the very Constitution of the United States, to form a more perfect union. One postal territory, and it is the one that grants every nation not a monetary monopoly. That's unlawful. That's illegal. But according to the Constitution, they grant the nations their very own postal monopoly. Pure and simple. And we'll find that too. We'll read that here one of these days. It's a postal monopoly that is granted by the Global Postal Trust Services. And the area office is the Selective Service Office responsible for all administration and operations of the board or boards within its jurisdiction. One postal territory. So with that, I'm out. And again, I remind you, I love you, but I don't give a rat's ass whether you love me back. And that's to say, I don't care if you hate me. If you do love me, please share some love through the PayPal link down below. Every little bit is appreciated and does count. And in the meantime, may God bless you and have a good night.